Hello again, friends, and welcome to another fine edition of 151. My name is Adam, and I am joined by a man who put the Hall and Halloween. I really don't have an intro for him this week. I don't know why. I think it's because it's a Monday when we're taping, and I just kind of gave up on the world, much like his hairline. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Justin.
You're a... Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
How great was that?
I got asked a question the other day, which was, okay, so you're washing your face. Where does face stop and head start? How far do you go? And I'm like, A, you, and B, that's a good, it's still right here.
Oh, but I do have something real quick to show you real quick.
Oh, God.
Since we didn't do the beard, I got another new hat.
Yes.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
That's something else.
B
right.
Squatch Duo Double 2, number 2.
All right. For those of you paying along at home, you probably heard a different voice on the show. Let me get through the show introduction, then we'll introduce our special guest.
Since he doesn't know the rules that you don't talk to your introduced, I guess.
It is what it is. All right, this is 151 The Show. You can find us on 151theshow.com or this station's website.com. We're on social media at sorry, I started doing my movie guy intro.
No kidding.
We're on social media at 151 The Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Please follow along. And you can find us on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and a whole bunch of other channels. Whatever channel you do find us on, all the links are at the bottom of the page. Just hit that like or subscribe button and follow along. As it is the time of year where things go bump in the night, Justin and I wanted to do some Halloween stuff. So joining us here on the show, you may know him best from a somewhat special about a Bigfoot. Ladies and gentlemen, Seth Olney from Calhoun County Paranormal Investigators is on with us. What's going on, man?
Hey guys, that's a perfect description of exactly what I'm from. So
okay, truth be told, Justin and I we talked about your guys' when you guys got, what was the name of that show? Because they changed it, didn't they?
Yeah, it was
These Woods Are Haunted.
Yeah, These Woods Are Haunted.
Well, that's what it was originally called. What did they change it to, or what did it change from?
It's Terror in the Woods, I think. Terror in the something. And as you can see how much I actually care. But yeah.
Well, I was gonna say that shows how much they really have faith in the show is when they changed the name of the show in the middle of it. So.
Well, the thing was it was named what it is now. I think it's Terror in the Woods or something like that, which makes much more sense because they cover like a much more vast basis than hauntings. And that's what it was originally called on Destination America, the first season that was released. And then they just it comes to travel and they're like, oh, well, we do ghosts. Zach Bagans lives here. So we're just going to freaking name it Haunting.
I talked to Don Wildman one time for the radio show. And he's a guy that's been on Travel Channel a ton over the years. And he was like, yeah, all of a sudden they're a paranormal channel. So whatever, I guess. But anyway, Seth Olney joins me. He was on that show along with his brother Jesse, who sadly enough isn't here right now. But frankly, we didn't ask.
I wasn't going to say anything. But...
Sucker.
But no, Seth, thank you so much for joining us as we get into the show this month. We're trying to have some fun with all the things that go bump in the night, and you're a guy that's been. I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. You've been kind of all over the place in the way of cryptids, ghosts, this, that, and all the other stuff. And we want to talk to you about it, right, Justin?
Well, I do want to talk to him, but more importantly, I want to talk to his brother after all, and he's coming on in right now.
What?
Oh, what? I saw his picture flash on, and I was like, Wait a minute.
Well, when we arranged this, we figured it would probably have been like tens of minutes since you guys had talked to each other. So, you know.
Pretty much, actually.
More or less, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the show tonight, as a way we wanted to surprise Seth because we've talked to him a number of times. Jesse is always the no good brother Jesse and doesn't get to have full cred all the time. But no, Jesse Alney joins us as well tonight. How you doing, Jesse?
Okay? I'm doing great, man. I just finished watching JPR's Missouri State Penitentiary video, and so it actually happened to watch it on the 1 month anniversary of us being there. So that was pretty cool to just relive it after a month and get to see some different perspectives that I haven't seen since that night. You know, with editing my own videos for my channel and such, and so yeah, it was really cool. And then to be able to hop on here and talk with you guys and see my ugly brother over there, and it's a good end to my night.
That is one way to say it, the ugly brother. But I didn't say that out loud. This is 151. You can find us on the web at 151theshow.com or the station's website.com. We're also on social media at 151theshow and a whole bunch of different ways to watch us and listen to us and all that. As we make our way through the night, all right, so we are going to dive into the world of the paranormal. We're usually just the nerd stuff, but with Seth and Jesse both here tonight, it is a night to talk about ghosts, goblins, and everything in between. Let's actually start with the Missouri State Pen thing, because this is a trip that I almost got to go on, but the guy who ran it asked so long ago that it was one of those things with my job and my work. It was one of those, I can't promise you I'm going to be able to go in September. So Missouri State Penitentiary, very haunted location. Justin probably knows nothing about this.
I watched the live feed that night, so I learned a lot that night.
All right, who wants to go first? Tell us about Missouri State, because I have a specific question for Jesse later on in this.
Go ahead, Seth, because I don't, the history and all that way more than I do.
Great, Seth, everybody.
No, I so sorry, guys.
I'm really glad we brought him in on this.
Yeah, that's why I didn't stop talking in the beginning, because I was so excited to be on the show. No, Missouri State Penitentiary is hands down the biggest investigation we've ever done, and we've done this almost 20 years now. I believe it closed in 2004, and it was at one point, I think in 1967, Time magazine called it the bloodiest 47 acres in the United States.
That's cool.
Yeah. The only thing is I still can't find out like why they dubbed it that, but I'm guessing it was just a general blanket of like all the deaths that were happening.
I can't imagine prison life in Missouri is a whole lot of fun.
That is very, very, very true. They have a death chamber there. They put 40 people to death by gas chamber, and actually two of them, one was a woman and it was a couple, and they held a kid ransom, and the family paid the ransom, but they'd already killed the kid, and so they put them. So they caught them and put them to death together, and so that was pretty crazy, pretty intriguing. And then you'll have to excuse me, I have not slept like the past 2 days because of my lovely 6-month-year-old, so I'm blanking on the names.
6-month-year-old?
Yeah,
Justin, would you like to take this one?
There it is.
That's proof positive he hasn't slept.
No. When you really haven't slept long enough, it goes from my lovely 6-month-old to my kid.
Exactly. I'm trying to be good and nice, but I can't remember the name right now. But it's the guy who assassinated Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay.
All right.
So who was that, Justin?
James Earl Ray.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so
James
tell us
Earl
about the place, about the night, about what it took to get in there, because what's so haunted about this place?
So obviously there's been ridiculous amounts of death. There was riots. A dude was murdered in his cell in death row. There was a bunch of other just crazy stuff. There's supposedly like psychiatric ward stuff and myths about that. Anyway, and it's just like, think of the energy of a prison. It's a bunch of negativity. It's a bunch of people like, I don't want to be here.
It's a bunch
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, more or less, that's what it kind of comes down to, especially when you have death row on the property. I'm sorry, probably not the best human beings on the face of the earth.
Right. Exactly. Nope. And this place it's been open since like 1838. And that was actually one of the crazy things is they had unearthed buried cell block from like 1845. And we were the first team ever to investigate it. And we were getting all kinds of weird voices coming out of there. And but the most haunted to us was general population.
Okay.
I think it was C Hall. Gen Pop was insane, man. It was we started towards the last half of the night. We all came together because we all went down. It was 2 teams. It was Jesse and myself, and then our buddy Charles, and then the team Jones Paranormal Research. And we kind of split up in the first part of the night, and then we came together in Gen Pop, and it was just like the whole place exploded. And we were running around Gen Pop, chasing shadows, seeing figures, being touched, being
Jesse.
chased. Like, yeah.
Was it good touch or was it bad touch?
In prison, it's all good touch.
But yeah, it was wild.
Seth and Jesse from Calhoun County Paranormal Investigators joining us right now. You probably have heard their voice on our show or us talk about them because we have talked about them a lot over the last year or so.
True.
Seth is also the dude that put my face on a certain T-shirt. So
yes.
But anyways, go back to Missouri State Penitentiary. So you guys got to spend the night there. What is the story about the place? Like when someone tells one story about Missouri State Penitentiary being haunted, what's kind of that one story that comes out? Because when you hear about certain places, it's always like that one story that's like, well, this is what happened. What do you think that one story is?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably one of the least persons to ask because we didn't get to go on a tour and we didn't get to hear a bunch of the claims and whatnot.
Okay.
And I was a terrible researcher and didn't do a bunch of like research. I did watch the Ghost Adventures episode there.
Wow.
And I know. That was literally the only show that's ever gone there. And,
you research like Justin would research it.
Pretty much. Again, I have a child and it's taking a lot of my time lately. So yeah, I didn't get to.
Oh, Justin has 2.
Well, I'm happy for him.
And he runs a business.
3. Where'd that third just disappeared?
I counted myself for a second, and then I'm like, oh no,
okay.
I just have 2.
Well, I did forget they had a dog for a little bit, so I got worried that I'm like, son of a bitch, do they have a third kid and I forgot?
I would say like the heaviest thing talked about is, at least from what I found, was the gas chamber.
Okay.
Because, you can literally still sit in the chairs where 40 lives were taken. And that was still probably one of the most powerful spots. And that was the last spot we hit. And there was just something about that place. It was absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, you're sitting in a place where somebody could slam the door. I mean, I assume that to a certain extent, all that apparatus still worked.
That's my thoughts too. And it was funny because like we sat down in the chair and then my buddy's like, see, it would just be like this. And he's slowly closing the door. And I like started getting like overwhelming anxiety just watching that door slowly close. And it's just messed up because you got these windows around you that people in bleachers more or less are watching you. And there's a mirror that you can literally watch these people's faces watch you die. And it was a beyond surreal experience I will never forget.
See, but that would kick my claustrophobia into like high gear when I worked in law enforcement for a couple of years, and any time that I would not do well in a cage. I discovered that very early on. Even when it's simulated, I don't do well.
On the other side of things, Jesse, I've got a very specific question for you. When you were on the radio show and The Haunting, the kind of side project we do, you had said you were done going to ghost locations.
I said I was done investigating.
Oh, huge difference.
There is.
Okay.
Oh, son, there's a huge difference.
Okay, tell us what you did that night, because
Yep.
you had and we've kind of talked about it here before. You had this experience at Villisca, and we don't need to go into it right now. It got you out of ghost hunting, to make a long story short.
Right.
What happened here? Why go back?
Well, first of all, I mean, there's an obvious reason to go when someone is flying my brother, who's like my best friend, from New York to a location and then inviting me to go along with them completely for free. It's hard to say no. And when the idea was presented to me, I laid out very specific instructions and thoughts that I would not be investigating. I laid out, if you have expectations that I'm going to jump right in and start using your equipment and start questioning in the dark and all this other stuff, that's not going to happen. And so I laid it out very plain, very blunt, that just was not part of my plan. And they were very respectful of that, Jonah and his team. And they also know that I have my YouTube channel and I have some urbexing videos on there. And so what I did is I took the opportunity to go to this incredibly beautiful location, very dark, creepy location, and do a more urbex style, urban exploration style video. So Seth and I actually started off our night walking through Death Row and Gen Pop completely alone. And we did more of an exploration type of video instead of the investigation. And when it got to the point where I just kind of felt like I was dragging Seth along, because I could tell he wanted to dive in deep, I was like, all right, I'll go ahead and back off. I'll keep my cameras rolling. We'll bring Charles in and you guys can dive in and I'll just film. Because, I mean, Seth and I still do our CCPI TV on YouTube. After I stepped away from ghost hunting, I actually I did the filming for our Beyond Existence series. And so I was at the locations. I was in the midst of the investigations. Okay. I just wasn't partaking in them. And so basically I kind of resorted back to that role for half the night. And I'll be honest, there was a few times where things were getting really serious. And I actually did see a full-bodied apparition and kind of the old CCPI blood kicked through my veins. And I kind of just jumped back into my old ways. Right? It is, absolutely. I mean, I did it for an extremely long time, from 2001 until 2013. And you get to a certain point where it just kind of kicks back in naturally. And you get that adrenaline flowing and everyone's feeding back into it. And again, I'm there with Seth, and it'd been a couple strong years since Seth had a really big investigation like that. So he kind of leans on me, I kind of lean on him, and we kind of bring the best out of each other. So an overall awesome experience. Seth and I had an amazing time just off on our own, which I think is when Justin watched the live feed when we were in Gen Pop and stuff walking around. And then from there, we just kind of let the team lead the way, and I just observed for the most part, but then dive in when I felt like I had a different level of comfort to do so.
All right.
So would you say that, like, the difference then between being there and actively investigating is opening yourself up to the experience? Because I've always said that if I went, nothing would ever happen, because I'm like the big Luddite anchor who, isn't open to the experience, Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's basically that flipping that switch internally.
Exactly. Because since 2013, when I stepped away from this, more specifically in the last 5 years, I got really serious of just like distancing myself from all of this stuff, because there was some very dark stuff attached to me after my experience with Villisca, and it had a very deep impact on the relationships outside of ghost hunting for me, which is why I made it so very serious to step away. And so I've done a lot of research outside of being a ghost hunter about the supernatural, about the paranormal, and had changed my entire perspective on a lot of these things. And so I actually think I'm more sensitive to it now than I was back when I was actually deep into it, because I'm kind of seeing it from above rather than in the midst of it. And so I'm less emotionally reactive and more responsive to just like the feelings and understanding what could be going on and questioning it more, instead of letting my emotions just charge me forward and go after whatever I just saw move in the dark. And so, I went in and I had my switch turned off, and it got to a certain point where I could kind of feel myself getting a little bit more comfortable with the atmosphere and what was going on. We'd been there for several hours, so I was way more comfortable with the prison and the environment, and my level of interaction was more confident because I could kind of sense if it was a super strong negative presence or not. And so at that point, I was more receptive to kind of giving my 2 cents about what was happening here or there.
Did you have a point that night that you went, you know what, and I'm out? There
was actually. So it was actually right at the beginning of the night when Seth and I were in death row. Actually, we're down in the hole. So what part of the segregation, and we went in there, and there was this one hallway where the tour guides highly suggested to not go down there. And if we did go down there, not to go past this certain gate. And you actually had to make a U pattern to get into this section. We got to the top of the U, or I guess the bottom of the U. And I looked at Seth and I said, dude, I can't walk any farther. My body has put up a wall. It's like there's chains connected to me. I cannot physically go past this. I'm way too uncomfortable. So then we didn't go past it as we were down there by ourselves, but then we brought Charles down, and having another number of person, a little bit more confident that he wasn't down there when they had told us about that information, it allowed him to have a little bit more confidence. So then I kind of was still apprehensive to a degree, but I kind of pushed forward in the sense of like, I'll be able to tell if I pushed past this when I shouldn't have. Okay. And if I would have pushed past and felt that stronger, I would have left. Right. But once we got around that, I think it was a little bit more of a mental thing too, because once we got around and I got in the midst of that, it completely went away. So, all
right, real quick before we go on, shamelessly plug your YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's Alney on YouTube. That is ITSALLKNEE. It's a very vast variety of subjects on my channel. My most popular videos is my burping contest videos. And so if you enjoy a little bit of oral flatulence, make sure that you check out my channel for my burping contest videos.
I legitimately thought we were highbrow, but I guess not. This is 151. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at 151 The Show. And we are on social media at 151 The Show. Sorry, So when you were talking a little bit ago, I had to get up because one of the cameras, the memory card didn't want to work. So guess who had to switch out a memory card in the middle of this?
That was your strange icon earlier. But
yes. So, anyways,
Seth's burping contest does lead us into our upcoming segue into our upcoming series, Shart or Fart. So. We're gonna top that highbrow stuff here pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll take care of that. All right, let me reset the show and we'll get back to the paranormal. This is 151 The Show. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at 151 The Show. You can find us on YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, and every other channel. All of them are listed at the bottom of the page. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you miss any of that, 151theshow.com. All right, getting back to the world of the paranormal, something that we talked about a while ago, and Justin did a live stream for it. It kind of became the basis of your guys' movie, Squatch, Iowa. Your little adventure into These Woods Are Haunted.
Yep.
The show that has launched 1,000 jokes for me, and thank God you guys are good sports and think they're funny.
Yes.
Absolutely, dude. It's honorable.
Yes.
Seth is like, I'm gonna drink a nice cold root beer and get along with us. No, I want to talk about it because we've talked about it, and I've said that I've known enough people in the world of paranormal that when they go and do some of these shows, the story gets changed, and I find that very offensive. Just because it's if it was my story and you changed it to be something else, honestly, I'd be pissed, and I would ask myself, why would I ever want to go be on one of those shows again? You guys got the chance to be on. At the time, it was called These Woods Are Haunted. Apparently, it has a different name now. It's on Travel Channel, but you guys got to be a part of this. Huge honor. I mean, it's a cool thing to go be on one of these shows, right?
Oh, yeah.
But the story was wrong, right? The story they told was wrong, yes or no?
Yeah, it was. It had like the skeleton, if you will, but the meat and muscles of the whole thing was wrong.
So, okay,
absolutely.
Long story short, the way they told the story, two guys in the mountains of Iowa were having beers out in the wood. And they go out and they find a Bigfoot in like these ruins of an old building or something, and then this thing proceeds to chase them through the woods. They get lost because they only have 1970s flashlights, and it's a horrible experience that leaves them both shocked and awed, and they don't know what to do with themselves. But not the way the story really happened, right?
No, not at all.
Who wants to go first on this? Because I'd like everybody to know the exact story of what actually happened.
And don't leave out the romantic subplot.
Well, the whole point of that night was to urbex, this abandoned Greyhound park, and that's where they got their little, like, we found Bigfoot first off in this abandoned building in the middle of nowhere. First
really.
off, the woods and the abandoned building were right next to Highway 20, so it's not this desolate location that you have to hike to.
And real quick, I don't want to put you guys into a corner. If I don't want you to bag on the experience or anything like that, but I think you guys have come out since that thing aired and said that, listen, the story they told is not the story that happened.
Oh,
I will bag on that show all I want. You do not have to. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I to say my piece on that show, it was disappointing because it took over a year. Like, we filmed that
over a year.
Yeah, we filmed that in the end of 2018, and it comes out this last spring. And so we're like, oh man, they're really putting some good work into this. And the director assured us, he's like, we're just here for the true story. Like, that's what we want. We're not like others who twist and turn everything. And I was like, great. Like, it was a good step. Don't get me wrong, the crew, the directors, they were all great. But so I'm all right, like, this is awesome. And it was super cool to like have people playing us. Like, that was super weird and super surreal. But then all of a sudden, like, you see how they're acting and it's just like, okay, this is gonna go the typical Travel Channel way.
At what point were you watching and you're like, I got a bad feeling?
Hey, don't forget the beer and flashlights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got 2
There it
Radio
is.
Shack flashlights and 3 old Milwaukees, eh? We're good.
So funny.
Because for those of you who do not know my brother and me, we do not drink alcohol, nor have we ever drank alcohol. So there you go.
Meanwhile, Justin and I drink to forget.
Look, rubbing alcohol is medicine for the outside. Drinking alcohol is medicine for the inside.
Oh, God. Okay, so
Well said.
So
Well
was
said.
it at that point where they popped the trunk, got out the 70s flashlights and the couple beers, and it was like, okay, we're in trouble?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like the point where I'm like, oh boy, and seeing the mountains in Iowa, it's like, clearly this was a UK production company because they've never been to Iowa. The part that I started to get upset was when they started showing us first in this abandoned location in the middle of the daytime, and then they're showing Bigfoot in the abandoned location, and then they're playing our words like intermixed, and I'm like, okay, this is done. Like, they're twisting all of this, and that was the night I brought my kid home from the NICU, and I was like so excited. I got my in-laws all together, and I'm sitting there like, guys, this didn't happen. It didn't happen like this. It was just like, gosh dang it.
The worst part of the night is when his mother-in-law went, they found a much better version of Seth. You should have married him. What did you think?
Something like that.
What did you think, Seth, or excuse me, Jesse, when you saw this? At what point did you go, crap?
Yeah, I mean, when we're finding or hearing Bigfoot rummaging around inside this abandoned location, I'm like, okay, come on. And like Seth said, they're piecing and placing our words and our phrases in places to create their narrative. The thing that really drove me the most crazy was when we were getting lost in the woods and we're literally screaming for each other. And my character is literally screaming, Seth, and he's Jesse. And we're literally split up. And that never happened. Like, we deliberately split up. We deliberately went a different way to find a way around this path. And they took that off on this path. But then when they had the Bigfoot chase us, that is when I was like, okay, I'm so done with this. because that right there is the meat and potatoes of the story.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was expecting like the Blair Witch snot on somebody's face at some point, but I did actually go back and watch The Great Outdoors after that because the whole thing reminded me of the John Candy Bear chase scenes.
Yes.
Win-win for
Hey,
me.
absolutely, that's a great film. Great film.
All right, let
But
me.
yeah, so that was the end all be all for me, was them having Bigfoot chase us. That is literally the opposite of what happened. So
To kind of piece the story together, you guys go up to Waterloo, go through this place, kind of urban explore it, find something, chase it through the woods. Did not throw anything at you or come after you or scare you into drinking or anything like that. It's kind of the long and short of the story. You saw something in Waterloo or close to Waterloo. It's the abandoned, what's it called again?
the Greyhound Park.
The Greyhound Park.
Greyhound Park.
Which
Waterloo Greyhound.
Which is in the middle of town. Which that was the other thing that when they showed the not just the mountains of Iowa, because if you're looking for, just scenery shot, who doesn't, unless you're from Iowa, you don't know there's not mountains in Iowa. But just the dense forest as far as it goes, it's like they were in the middle of town. I don't get it, but anyways.
Which, to be fair, that is only one of 3 times that Iowa has been shown that it hasn't been all corn. So I mean,
that's fair. That's fair. We're making strides.
Right. I felt special that we sit now in the block with the X-Files Okoboji episode where they go to Okoboji and there's just like these sprawling mountains and all of that. So I was like, okay, we'll call it good. Like,
yeah, we're part of that universe now.
This looks like Vancouver.
Crazy.
That's nuts. This is 151. You can find
one
us,
last thing. I got
Station identification, Seth. Station identification.
I'm sorry. I'm too excited.
Go ahead. No, say your stupid line.
No, the thing I was going to say, the one thing I think, other than Bigfoot chasing us, the worst thing was at the end of our interview, they asked us if we had any other run-ins with Bigfoot, and we told this completely other story that took place like 4 years later, and they literally took pieces of that interview and put it in as our same experience. Like,
I didn't know that.
Upset me. Yeah, that upset me big time.
Okay, let me ask you guys this real quick about that experience. When after it happened and after you talked to because I want to say Jesse did a Facebook Live or something. Seth, you may have too. It's been a long summer. I can't remember. But what was people's reaction to, 1, the show, and then 2, hearing your true version of what happened?
I went live right after the show premiered, and because I was instantly like, I need to catch this right at the top of the wave. And overall, the episode got a ton of positivity, and we actually got a bunch of people that started following our not only our Instagram and our Facebook accounts, but our YouTube channel as well because of our episode. So it had a really great outpouring of support. Which it was awesome, because then we had the opportunity to address right off the bat with these people, hey, this is not actually what happened, but. So then we had the opportunity to tell how it actually happened, and the eyes just, bugged out, and there was so much more interest in it, to where I think I may have gone live again, maybe a week later or so, or maybe a month later, and talked about it again, because there was so much interest in hearing about the actual story, because they had been replaying the episode a few times throughout that month. And so, there's a lot of people that were aware of the story, like you guys, that were like, okay, yeah, this isn't adding up. And other people in our family and our teammates and all that stuff. And they're like, okay, yeah, this is crazy. But overall, at least on my side, it was a very positive experience.
Were people kind of surprised that they did this, or was it kind of like, yeah, I can see a TV company doing that?
I think that's more of what it was I can see TV doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. From my experience, it was, I'm not surprised, and that's why, and it sucks because it's like, now you tell people this, and now it's like, okay, what I'm watching in this show, is it real? And that's that's honestly what I like what you've been doing, B-Sox, when you talk to people is you ask, and that's amazing. Like when you asked Jason Hawes that, I stood up and applauded. Like that
Seriously, I love it.
Warms my heart.
Well, okay, for those of you who may not know, like on the radio station I work at, when I do interviews with paranormal people, I at some point in the interview I've started asking the question of how much of this is real versus how much is just edited for TV. And like Jason had a really great answer. He goes, the production team we use are people we know, that we work with, that know what we want to share, and so on and so forth. Could it be yes, no, maybe so? I don't know. But it is an interesting question to ask people. I still think Don Wildman was kind of the best one, because he's a guy for Travel Channel that basically said, and I talked about him earlier, but he was like, I'm not a paranormal guy. I don't know anything about this stuff. All of a sudden, Travel Channel, a paranormal station, and it's like, okay, I guess I'm a paranormal host now. So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Wildman's an OG. I like him a lot.
This is 151 The Show. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at 151 The Show. We are on YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, Amazon, and so much more. You can find all the links at the bottom of the page. As we make our way through this, guys, let's talk about some of the paranormal stuff. I do want to kind of hit on the Bigfoot movie here, Squatch, Iowa, here in a little bit, just because I had a part in it.
True that.
But okay,
You mean the film that we got this for?
Well, you know what? Let's just go with it right now. Squatch, Iowa won a Vidi Space. What was it? Cryptid Award?
It is, and I quote, Squatch, Iowa, Best Cup Feature, Cryptid UFO Paranormal for the Vidi Space Film Festival.
Now, that was the first time that award had ever been given out, correct?
Correct.
When
the inaugural.
When is the next awards? Like, when are you guys champions until, or did they already give out another one?
It's this coming June, actually. So we'll be champs, the only champs for a while.
Are they going to get another trophy, or do you have to give that one back?
You have to give it back.
And they'll just scratch off Squatch, Iowa.
I was gonna say, is it like
sticky notes over it?
Is it like the Stanley Cup where they just kind of add a level and stuff and keep going?
Yeah.
No, that's very cool. You guys made, and if I remember kind of the story about this, you guys kind of switched gears. Was that to keep Jesse kind of involved in this stuff, because you didn't want to do the paranormal stuff anymore, right?
Yeah, so we actually had spent the weekend. This was before Seth went to New York, but we had a weekend with our buddy Gert, who's the only original remaining member from the core CCPI that started in 2005. And we're just sitting there watching some of our old videos, and I looked at both of them and I said, what if we change gears? What if we go full Bigfoot and I come back full time to the team?
Full Bigfoot.
Full Bigfoot, baby.
You never go full Bigfoot.
And so then after that, we decided that Seth brought up the idea of doing a documentary, and then that turned into the film.
So Squatch, Iowa.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine, Seth. What would you like to talk about?
I'm just gonna talking, and you just go like raise your hand and go like that, and then I'll know that I can start talking.
No. What? I don't remember what I was going to say. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that yes, we went full
great.
Bigfoot, but we had been dabbling in Bigfoot since 2000.
You've been what to Bigfoot?
Filming some stuff.
Dabbling.
That's like that's when you cup, right? Oh, never mind.
It's different for Bigfoot. It's different. Okay. They're actually on the sides.
Oh, I was going to say I have nipples too, Greg. Can you dabble me? All right, so
I'm just saying we're just gonna switch to Bigfoot for fun because that sounds cool. Like we had been doing it for a while. We just wanted to switch full focus.
Okay, let me ask you this, because in the whole world of Bigfoot, Iowa, and I asked you guys this before, but Iowa's not exactly known for its Bigfoot stories. How does paranormal group from Iowa all of a sudden decide, you know what? Hey, let's switch fully to Bigfoot in Iowa?
What happened was, like, the story that was on These Woods Are Haunted is kind of what kick-started us into, like, wait a minute, like, there's something else going on. I had watched Monster Quest through high school and stuff, and it always intrigued me. And then we just like, hey, maybe, this is legit. I mean, this is paranormal too. Paranormal is stuff that science has yet to prove it, you know? And so, Iowa, we were like, yeah, okay, there's not going to be anything here. But then I started finding stories from back in the 70s all the way up till now. We have our first one. And then as time goes on, we're finding more and more people that are having these experiences, but no one talks about it. No one talks about Iowa. I think Finding Bigfoot came here once, and no one comes here. So it was the same with our old documentary, Haunted Iowa. Back then, no one came to Iowa for ghosts. They didn't talk about it. So I was like, okay, same thing we did for Haunted Iowa. We wanted to show people like, hey, there's ghosts here. This place is haunted. We wanted, hey, there's Bigfoot here. Like, this place is legit. It's active. So that's what shifted us to looking for Bigfoot in Iowa.
At what point did you kind of go, okay, there is a lot of evidence here. There could be Bigfoot here.
For us, it was going out, because I was a full-blown skeptic. I didn't believe in Bigfoot. When Seth brought the idea of going on a Bigfoot hunt, I was like, dude, and we were already super deep into ghost hunting. So the idea of a physical being just didn't seem
You drew the line. You drew that line. Justin, would you like to add your line in here?
How high were you? No, and literally, no. This is, and I'm glad we arrived here because this was the next thing I was going to ask, and I've asked, much like he asked the production people, how much is real, how much is fake. Every time, as the skeptic in the room, every time that we've really talked to anybody who does paranormal, and Seth, I didn't ask this the first time you were on because I was giving you too much crap, quite frankly, but right. Where is your line? I mean, where do you say, yeah, ghosts cool, Bigfoot's cool, swamp thing maybe, but vampires, where's your line?
For me, I don't know. I don't put a line because I would say aliens is about is hard for me to buy into, like this whole entire, like there's this separate race and all that.
Really?
Yeah.
See, aliens are easy. Aliens are easier for me than ghosts.
But here's the thing. I've seen a couple of UFOs. But it's the full on, like, I didn't believe in ghosts until I had my experience. I didn't believe fully in Bigfoot until we had real, like, legit experiences. So aliens is, again, I will never, because I've experienced some of the weirdest crap my entire life, I will never discount someone's, like, experience, no matter what it is. Loch Ness, freaking devil, Jersey Devil, the Wendigo, whatever. That's my kind of take on it.
Let me ask you this, because it seems to come up a lot. Why is there that line with paranormal guys where, yes, I believe in ghosts and, goblins and all this, aliens, crazy. But then on the other side of it, guys that believe in aliens and stuff, they're like, ghosts and all that are utter BS. Why is there that? Why is one so much harder to believe in than the other?
One science, one spiritual, I think.
Really? Is that all it comes down to?
I think so.
Honestly, it's and again, it comes down to, like, people having experiences. And okay, I believe that there's UFOs. I believe that there's weird crap out there. I believe people have been abducted, but I'm not going to say that it's aliens. I tend to be more with the conspiracy theorists, and that it's like humans, it's government, it's this, or it's, I would even go as far to say, like, it's time travelers. Like, but to say, I know. It's just, there's so many stories and things I've read. I'm not just, like, making this crap off the top of my head. It's people that also, like, this is a thought out there. It's not just me just sitting up at night going, what if it's this? It goes, if you look at a lot of paranormal stuff, ghosts, Bigfoot, aliens, they all sometimes, like, line up. I don't know how many times we've been in a Bigfoot hunt and there's, like, paranormal stuff going on, or there's people who've experienced Bigfoot and they see a UFO at the same time. There's people out there that have said they see UFOs dropping off Bigfoot.
Because that picture of Bigfoot riding Loch Ness under the UFO is real, damn it.
Real. I know. That's where it's proven. We don't need to do anything else. That picture caught it all.
Right?
Now, I will throw this out there. There are people that believe that the UFOs or the aliens that are controlling the UFOs are actually Bigfoot, and that Bigfoot are the alien race on the planet.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard that one before.
I've heard a lot of them. I mean, there's everything from gray aliens are actually just kind of like robotic forms for fallen angels to have a body again. I've heard Bigfoot's an interdimensional being. I've heard...
Hi, Seth's sister-in-law!
What? Was she there? I missed it.
Yeah, she came through the back.
Was she in a towel?
Yeah. No, there was no towel.
Ah, okay. Joke from before we were recording, everybody. But yeah, there's a lot of crossover, but there is it. What?
Sorry.
Did we just ruin your night, Seth?
No.
No, I just made myself laugh for doing that and getting it in. So, oh, she couldn't even hear me. She had her headphones on. Son of a.
Oh God.
Man.
This is 151 the show. This is our special Halloween edition of the show as we make our way through the month of October. Find out more about us at 151theshow.com. You can find us on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, and so many other channels. Whatever channel you do take us in on, please hit that follow or subscribe button on social media. It is at 151 the show. We'll have all of CCPI's and It's Alney and their links at the bottom of the page after this. It wouldn't be the Halloween experience with, and Jesse's going to bring down the party because he'll tell the story about how he got out of ghost hunting with this. But
I'll tell a different one. I got plenty, brother. Come on.
As we make our way through this all, what is kind of when you've gone out, you've sat in the dark, you've sat in the middle of the woods, you've done your research, you've gone through evidence. What's the moment that you really went, okay, there is something to this stuff? Now, whether it's Bigfoot or it's ghosts or, God forbid, UFOs, because apparently that's too crazy for Seth.
Ask me about Van Meters sometime. I'll tell you that it's not too crazy, but it's something to talk about.
Okay, well, we've got time. Give me
Sounds
the quick
good.
rundown of what's going on in Van Meter. And this is Van Meter, Iowa?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Van Meter, Iowa. Do you know
the Van Meter Devil or something?
Yeah, the Van Meter monster.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more or less like it's kind of like people talk about being Mothman. It's more like a pterodactyl. Like it literally. I know. And now stay with me.
Okay.
This sucker had a spotlight on its head. Like part of its body had a light that shone out of its head. Now here's the crazy part. Tons of people. This was a early
1900s.
Yeah, very early 1900s. Over half the townspeople saw this thing. And we're talking high-end townspeople, the banker, the one of the lawmen, everything. It was written about in the newspaper, and there was a casting taken of this thing's footprints, and it was printed in the newspaper. So this thing was supposedly terrorizing the town, and one night they chased this thing into a mine.
Okay.
That's just I think it's just west of town. And they chased it to this mine, and it flew into the mine, and they blew up the entrance to the mine and trapped it inside.
All right.
Some people say there's one, some people say there's two, but it was never seen again. I mean, again, tons of people saw this thing.
Yeah, but that's coming from a time and place where people, where doctors prescribed cocaine because you had ghosts in your blood.
Right. But it still is
a pterodactyl with a spotlight on its head.
I know, man. I know. And so look it up sometime. Look up Van Meter Monster and
I'm sorry, but that's really funny.
It's also pretty coincidental that you blow up the mine where the noxious gases are coming out of, and suddenly all the hallucinations stop.
No, I've heard stories about it, but I've never heard it described as a pterodactyl with a spotlight on its head.
More or less, if you look up the Van Meter Monster,
I'm picturing one of those really big flashlights from your guys' episode of These Woods Are Haunted. Duct taped around its head.
It's like it was described kind of like a bird version of an anglerfish with that little dangly light thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Like,
All
I
right.
mean, the head of the bank literally shot out his front window because this thing landed in front of the bank, and he literally shot a shotgun through his front window, and the window was blown out and everything.
All right.
And that's where they got the prints. But anyways, last spring, me and a group of buddies, we got permission to camp like within like 100 feet of this old mine.
Did you go in?
The thing is we would literally go there with shovels and start digging to get in. But the guy who owns the property, it's a real old guy, and then his son are like super overprotective of this place. They won't let anybody go near the mine. Nothing. And they're really weird about it. They're very cryptic. They like won't say why. They just won't let anybody go.
So we get that boring machine from Ocean's 11.
Yes. Bingo.
I was actually thinking you remember in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the thing that Shredder had?
Yes.
Go to the surface with the.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I say we
perfect.
commission one of those and we go wherever we want. Going back to the question though.
No. Krang's too far. Seth does not believe in aliens. No technodrome for you.
Okay, so we camped. And what I'm saying in this goes back to what we were just talking about, the trifecta. Right before sunset, I'm not lying, 100% saw Bigfoot running through the field. But what's weird is my buddy was standing in front of me, and it ran like in front of his head, so like his head was blocking out. And by the time I turned this way, it was gone. So that was my first weird experience. We all started hearing voices from the field. We started all hearing, there was, I think, 6 or 7 of us, all started hearing different voices coming from the field. Then my buddy's kid army crawled up towards the mine with this extremely long microphone cord. And my one of our guys that was with us has like very sensitive listening device, and he placed it very close to the mine. And that entire night he got these weird like radio frequency like mechanical sounds coming from the ground.
The mole people.
Yeah. And that night we counted 7 UFOs, 7 lights in the sky that weren't blinking, and they were not satellites. They were pretty large, literally floating across the sky and then vanish in our sight. And then one of the craziest things was we were by train tracks. The whole ground starts shaking, and we hear this rumbling, like super, like thunderous rumble. And we're waiting. We're like, okay, a train's coming. Literally, it's like rumbling up to us and then just stops. And it's underneath the ground. Again, it's underneath the ground. Nothing came. No train came. Nothing. People are seeing white, like, forms going into the woods. We go up the path towards, like, as close as we could get to the mine, and we're all being drained of our energy like crazy. I saw 2 of the bravest people I know in the paranormal field literally run and beg to let us, like, to go home because they were so terrified. So there's theories that this whole like Van Meter monster is actually like alien life or something, and there's something underground that this thing came from, and that's what we're picking up: mechanical, electric, this and that. We're seeing 7 different UFOs in the sky above where we're at. We're hearing this rumbling under the ground. Dude, it was one of the most bizarre nights of my entire life. Absolutely bizarre.
Seth and Jesse Alney from Calhoun County Paranormal Investigators joining us right now. Wow, so Van Meter sounds like something I need to look into.
Yeah, definitely do.
Well, that would explain the lights that I've seen out near at my house, considering this is like 4 miles from my house.
Exactly. Yeah, dude, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, there's some, and they have a convention every year, and it's like small, but they always have the Van Meter Visitor Festival, and they always have people coming and talking about. There's one guy that comes every single year, is Chad something, I can't remember his last name right now, but he's like the all knowing of everything, the story and everything. But
all right,
it's awesome. Check it out.
Jesse, how about you? What was what's the moment that made you your pants? I mean, make you actually believe that, okay, hey, there's more out there than what we kind of see.
Yeah, so it would have been the very first time I saw a ghost, which would have been September of 2001. We were just kids that we used to go out to cemeteries at night just to dick around, and we always had a video camera, and we were film everything. And we just happened to be filming this night, which actually opens up our Haunted Iowa documentary. This scene, exactly what I'm talking about. We're walking down the center of the cemetery, pitch black. There was no moon. And from the right-hand side of the cemetery, I see a little girl, Shirley Temple haircut, Victorian-style dress on. It was like a light blue and white. And she was just running across the cemetery after midnight. And she just stopped and looked at me. And where her eyes were dark black holes. And I just kind of stood there like, what am I looking at? And then the wind picked up and literally just, she like wisped away, like Thanos snapped his finger, literally, and just kind of wisped away. And I was like, holy crap, I just saw something. And we found a grave for a little girl named Patricia Cornwell at that cemetery that we made contact with countless times after that. But that cemetery in Palmer, Iowa is where I was fully convinced that the paranormal was a real thing.
On the other side of things, when you do some of the It's Alney stuff, the urban exploration and stuff, have you ran into anything in any of these locations where you're like, oh boy, this is going down the road of the paranormal? A place that you wouldn't think is haunted or whatever, you kind of walked in, you got the weird vibe from?
Not really, outside of Missouri State, just because it's a known haunted location. But back earlier this year, Seth, myself, and my wife actually went into an abandoned resort, a 500-room hotel and resort in New York. And we got in there and it was real spooky. Nothing really triggered us in the regard of paranormal, but we did find a homeless person camped in there in a tent. And that caused us to about mess in some diapers because we needed to wipe after that one.
Was there any problem with the guy? Did you have to like, oh, sorry, man, we're just passing through? Or
no, we were in a giant, what we believe was either a dining room or a conference room of some kind, and it was in the back corner of it. And I actually found another video of other people exploring it, and the tent was in that video as well. So we don't know for sure if it was occupied. The door was closed, and the other video it was open. So we saw it. I was like, holy crap, there's a tent. We took our lights, went the opposite direction. We explored for probably another, 40 minutes, and then we decided to take off just because we're just a little uneasy. We saw some in the hotel office. There was a couch in there with some blankets and pillows on it. And that's where I got really, really uncomfortable. I was like, okay, there's clearly been people camped out in here, squatting in here. So let's pack up our things, finish up the video, and let's get out of here. So
I gotcha. Jesse and Seth Alney joining us right now on the show. Justin, you got anything to wrap up tonight?
I just want to say I have given you guys a lot of crap over the years and gleefully so, but I will tell you, as I told you that night watching you in Missouri State, you guys got cojones the size of bowling balls to go and do what you do. Because, I mean, look, I don't really get down like you guys do. I don't have that structure, like I said, between my claustrophobia about small spaces and enclosed spaces, to go in there and wander around cells like that, man, that's stone. So I give you that.
I appreciate that very much.
I want to learn more about Van Meters, so that's kind of where this has taken me, because that's pretty interesting. Yeah. I don't know, a pterodactyl with a spotlight on its head.
I know, man. It's out there. It's out there.
All right.
So the problem with pterodactyls is tracking them at night. Generally, you'd use the sounds of urination, but everybody knows that the pterodactyl, the P is silent.
Oh,
thank you very much.
All right, and on that note, this has been another fine edition of 151 The Show. You can find us on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and a whole bunch of other channels. We'll have them all listed at the bottom of the page. Don't forget to follow us and like and share on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at 151 The Show. And if you miss any of that, 151theshow.com or this station's website. We can't end without a shameless plug, right, Justin?
Cue the music!
This is the portion of the show where we shamelessly plug stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be a restaurant. It can be a tool. It can be a website. It can be a shirt company. It can be a person, like Ryan Patrick.
Give him a job, folks. Give him a job.
Tonight we figured we'd let the guys from CCPI shamelessly plug whatever they want. Everything from Jesse's YouTube channel to whatever Seth is doing now, because he does T-shirts. He has kids and a wife and all this stuff. I don't know what the man does because he's in New York now. We don't ever see him. So whoever wants to go first, shamelessly plug away.
I would say obviously because of this episode, the biggest thing is our YouTube, CCPI's YouTube. It's CCPI TV. We have a bunch of different stuff. And I think this would be the first time saying it publicly, but we are going to be releasing Squatch Iowa on our channel, the full documentary. We've had the 50 minutes on there, and now I think we're going to just release the whole dang thing. We have all of our other documentaries. I have a crap ton of stuff. I have our footage from the night in Missouri State Pen coming soon. It's 25 to Afterlife. It's going to be a documentary about our night there. I have a bunch of other stuff coming too, so check that out. As my personal YouTube, check out Ready Seth Go on YouTube, and that's like my personal vlogs, exploring places in the Northeast and doing stuff with my family and whatnot, urbexing, bunch of fun stuff like that. I also design t-shirts, and that's 99 Designs. It's 99 wow, I cannot remember the website. Just type in 99 Designs.
You may remember this shot.
Yeah, I designed the famous Bee Squatch photo on the Bee Squatch t-shirt.
Which is really funny because I don't go by bee socks on this show.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
That was always the really funny thing about it because, so on 151, I go by my real name, which is Adam. On radio, I've had a nickname since college, which is Bee Socks, which is a shortened version of my last name. And you guys were like, the famous Bee Squatch. I'm like, no one's going to get that joke.
I wear that shirt out all the time, and I keep waiting for somebody to recognize and to comment. It has not happened yet, but I'm
famous enough.
Today.
It will.
Well, you have a face for radio, my friend. I mean, it's not like the shirt's talking.
My insult to you was way better at the beginning of the show. It made you feel safe, and then all of a sudden it kicked you in the nuts. Jesse, please finish this out.
Yeah,
here, man.
so my YouTube is It's Alney, ITSALLKNEE. You can also follow me on Instagram. That is It's_Alney. I'm also on Twitter. It's Alney. Like I said, I do a wide variety of different things. I do urbexing. I do food challenges. I do contests. I do road trips and showcasing different locations that you can visit. A little bit of paranormal stuff in there, Bigfoot stuff in there. Kind of cover the whole gamut. There's a little something in there for everybody. So It's Alney on YouTube and all social media.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. Both Justin and I, so happy to have you guys on tonight. We appreciate it. We really do. Thank you.
Our pleasure, man.
Thank you guys. Very much appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Always great talking to you.
Have a happy Halloween, and I guess that'll wrap it up. Another edition of 151 The Show. All done. Have a great rest of the night, and remember, Justin loves you.
I do. I love you so much.